Welcome back to the Go to Go podcast, man. Episode 117, week 16 of the NFL season, right upon us, man. Last week I went 12-4. You went 11-5, so still remain in the lead as weeks are dwindling down here. Thursday night football, or this is Christmas Day football.
No, this is Thursday. So it's Thursday and then 2 Saturday games and the rest are on Sunday. And then next week, there's a Christmas game.
Next week is Christmas.
Yeah, I think there's a Christmas game
Oh,
and then
yeah,
a Thursday game.
I'm tripping.
Yeah.
Broncos Chargers in LA. I'm going to go ahead. Take the Chargers. I'm not too confident in this pick, man. I see this game kind of going either way. The Broncos, they look like a hot team right now, so it wouldn't shock me if they come out with this one. The Chargers coming off that blowout loss last week. Didn't look good, man. Saw Ryan Fitzpatrick, hating on your boy Herbert. That's one of the guys you've backed for the past few years. So, just Chargers at home. It's not really a home game, as we always say, but I'm going to go ahead and rock with them in this one.
I'm going to go with the Broncos here just because I like the way the Broncos finished their last game compared to the Chargers. Now, I believe the Chargers got off to a hot start. They had the lead in the beginning of that game, but Baker Mayfield and that passing attack pretty much just took over down the stretch. Whereas for the Broncos, it was a slow start for Bo Nix, and obviously they had some help from the defense, and Anthony Richardson playing in his 10th football game definitely helped this Broncos team, this Broncos defense get back into shape. But down the stretch when they needed plays, Bo Nix, 3 touchdown passes. Sean Payne really has that team playing good football. I mean, they're fighting for a playoff spot. Obviously not going to win that division. We'll talk about the Chiefs coming up here. But I think this Broncos team, looking for a wild card spot, they're going to be going up against the Chargers, another team that's in the hunt for that last wild card spot as well. I think this will be a really good divisional matchup, but I just think the Broncos are a better team here. And, if the Chargers weren't able to move the ball against the Bucs, who have had arguably the worst passing offense in the league this season, I think it's going to be a lot tougher against this Broncos defense, who they're a little on the younger side, but they're coming along. It's amazing to see, what they went from last year to, having the Dolphins hang up, 70 points on them early on in the season to now they're one of the better units in football. They've been playing some really good football. Pat Surtain, he's been locked down. Nick Bodino making big plays. I think he had pick sixes in back-to-back games. So a lot of players stepping up here for this Broncos defense. So, yeah, I'm going to pick the Broncos here on Thursday night.
Yeah, Texans-Chiefs. This is that Saturday game you were talking about. I'm going to rock with the Chiefs here. Texans coming off a big win against the Dolphins in a game where the defense stepped up for the Texans, or the offense completely sold for the Dolphins, whichever way you want to look at it. But C.J. Stroud and company got it done. Derek Stingley looking good on the outside. Maybe a couple of hospital balls from Tua Noodle Arm. But I'm going to rock with the Chiefs. Mahomes dealing with that high ankle sprain. They say he's going to be good to go. If I'm the Chiefs, man, I might just sit Mahomes for this week and just let him rest up. But they're playing for that one seed. We'll see what Mahomes decides to do this week. The Chiefs, they just keep getting away with things. They didn't play a good game at all against the Browns. The Browns just played ugly football at the end of the day. So one way or the other, I think the Chiefs are going to just find a way, as always, and win.
So they said Mahomes is good to go?
Yeah, they said he's usually, they didn't say he's good to go, but they say
the report I saw said he's week to week and it's still up in the air field play. But, yeah, I mean, this...
he's played through this type of injury before.
Mm-hmm. This Chiefs schedule coming up is actually insane because they have this Saturday game and then they turn around and play on Wednesday, on Christmas Day next week. So, it's not out of the question for the Bills to come back and get that 1 seed, but they already have a 2-game lead, I think. So they have to lose 2 games to have the same record as the Bills, and then obviously the Bills have the head-to-head, but. Listen, man, I want to play Patrick Mahomes. Like, the way this season's been going for the Chiefs, you talk about, the ugly wins, the voodoo black magic, whatever anyone wants to call it. Like, at the end of the day, they're winning football games, and it's because they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, at this point this season, you pretty much got the 1 seed locked up. I think you can go a game, maybe even two, if you want to stretch it and be on the very safe side, just to make sure that you're in the playoffs as healthy and as good as possible. Because the way they're playing football right now, like, yes, we come on the show and we've said it here, like, it's the Chiefs, and you're 9 times out of 10 you're gonna pick them, but you want to feel more confident. You want to feel more comfortable in them being fully healthy going into the postseason. So I definitely think they have some decisions here to make in terms of will they start Mahomes or not. And I'm picking the Texans here based off Patrick Mahomes doesn't play. They try to rest him up for the playoffs. And you mentioned the Texans offense didn't look amazing. There was some stuff you feel like they left out on the field, but I like what you said about the defense, man. This Texans defense, and especially this secondary, has been one of the best in the league. I think they allowed the lowest passer rating to opposing quarterbacks this season, and they've been making plays all over it. You mentioned Derek Stingley, a bunch of those safeties back there are ball hogs. A bunch of those guys scored too on a couple of their picks, so a couple pick sixes, defensive touchdowns, and that pass rush you mentioned, Will Anderson, former offensive rookie of the year, and Danielle Hunter coming over. So they got some guys over there, some big playmakers on defense, and on offense, we know what they're capable of. You just got to get it going. The only question mark there for me is Joe Mixon rolled up on that ankle again. Not sure if he's going to be 100%. And, you know, like we always say on this show, like Joe Mixon this season has been pretty much, you know, the heart and soul of that offense. So they go as he goes. So you want to see him be out there. But this Texans team is another team. We're starting to get to that time of year where teams kind of already have, you know, what they need to know in terms of information for the playoffs. The Texans are pretty much going to make the playoffs for winning their division. So their seeding is pretty much locked. Do you rest Joe Mixon and make sure he's healthy for the playoffs as well? Another question there for the Chiefs and Texans. So, but I just think Patrick Mahomes is leaps and bounds more important than Joe Mixon compared to the two different offenses. So, I mean, it should be a good game, but I'm going to take the Texans here.
Yeah, next game up, AFC North football, Steelers-Ravens in Baltimore. I think this is going to be a good one. The Steelers, I'm sure we'll talk about that game when your Eagles come up, but Mike Tomlin looked shook last week. Steelers offense, once again, no George Pickens. They looked almost non-existent. I think Russ threw for 128 yards. 128 yards on 22 passes. Calvin Austin was their leading receiver with 65 yards. So it's not the recipe the Steelers want to win. Najee Harris couldn't really get it going on the ground. Neither could Jaylen Warren and company. Najee averaging 2.3 yards on 6 carries. It's not going to win football games for the Steelers. They need to set up that play action, the deep ball with Russ, and that George Pickens on the outside always helps. And then the Ravens, on the other hand, Lamar Jackson. No matter how much you want to give Josh Allen that MVP right now, Lamar Jackson's just staying in the race right now. The things he's doing in Baltimore, they're getting it done. That offense, Derrick Henry, Lamar Jackson, Bateman's really turning it up of late. He's been the guy. Seems like they're going to part ways with Deontay Johnson. That's some other news, but what a waste. I'm going to rock with the Ravens, man. I want the Steelers to go down. I think the Ravens definitely could win this game. Could be a good old, as you would say, AFC North clash of football here where it's hard-nosed, low scoring, but the trend the way Lamar's been on, I think the Ravens win this one, and I think they win it in a high-scoring fashion, at least, I would say.
I'm right there with you. I have the Ravens as well, and I mean, even if you don't want to look at, you know, what's going on in this game, who's playing, who's not, how the teams are going, it's like I mentioned these AFC North games, like they just 9 times out of 10, they're just always going to split. So I think the Steelers beat the Ravens already earlier this season. Now, give me the Ravens. A bunch of these teams, especially, you know, the Steelers, Ravens, Bengals, Browns, they just always seem, no matter how good one team is and how bad another team is, they just always seem grouped together in terms of their division. So be on the safe side. Just pick their split. And you mentioned it. Lamar, he's balling. Derrick Henry, balling. Mark Andrews, finally getting it going. That offense looks really good. And then on the Steelers side, I mean, watching against the Eagles with no George Pickens, there was no like explosive playmaker on the perimeter or in the backfield for the Steelers team. And in the NFL, you got to have somebody that can at least go outside, be, you know, a one-on-one player that you can rely on, whether it's a running back, whether it's a receiver, a tight end. The Steelers just don't have it without George Pickens. Now, he missed the last 2 games, healing up his hamstring. Hopefully, targeting this game to return because it's an important division game. I believe they can lock up the division if they win. But regardless, it's going to be tough. TJ Watt, he got banged up as well. Saw he had an ankle, but I believe he said after the game he should be good to go, just a rolled ankle. Maybe Deshaun Elliott gets back for them. I believe he had a hamstring as well. He missed the Eagles game. I believe he's their leading tackler. Really big part of their run defense for them. He's had a bunch of turnovers as well this season. So Steelers a little on the, injured side. Hopefully they get some of their guys back, but I'm with you, man. This Ravens team is rolling. Nothing like playing the Giants coming out of a bye week to get you going into the postseason. And, yeah, they put up some big numbers, and they're looking good here.
Yeah, next game up, man. More snooze fest football as we come down to the end of the year.
Giants.
Yeah, you got the Giants, Falcons. It's funny. I just saw the video. Giants fan talking shit to Rashad Bateman, so that was pretty funny. This one, it's just I don't think it get much worse. I'd like to see Michael Penix out there at this point for the Atlanta Falcons. Kirk Cousins will be the starter this week unless something weird happens in next 4 days or whatever. But I'll go ahead and rock with the Giants, man, just because I need them to win for the Browns to secure a better draft pick, and I need the Giants' record to go up. And the Falcons, they just beat the Raiders 15-9 with, I don't even know who the quarterback was.
Ritter.
Anyway, that's even worse. So, yeah, give me the Giants. Malik Neighbors, chuck it up and hope for the best. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm picking the Falcons here, and it's not a convincing pick. And saying that against the Giants can really tell you a lot about this position. It just kind of looks like Kirk Cousins ran out of steam, man. I feel like the pinnacle of his season was that Bucs Thursday night game where he came out, threw for like 500 yards in prime time. No, they won, remember, in overtime. Yeah, and on the game-winning touchdown, Kirk Cousins had like 100 touchdowns and 10,000 yards in that game. That was like, what, week 7 or 8? And he just, ever since like then,
week 5.
Yeah, maybe like week 5. And ever since then, it's just been on a slow decline. And right now, he's crashing. You mentioned, he's the starter unless we see something crazy happen. Well, after the game, the head coach did come out and say that, Kirk Cousins has to play better if he wants to continue to start down the road here. So maybe that lights a little fire under him. But yeah, man, he finally got a touchdown this past week against the Raiders, and it came, off of a Drake London double move. They had to scheme up against the Raiders defense to get a touchdown, which that can tell you a thing or two. But yeah, this Falcons team is definitely reeling. But you're playing against the Giants. I don't think the Giants are much better. I mean, the news going around the Giants now is Shador throwing the ball to Malik Neighbors down in Manhattan. Like that. That's what the Giants fans are looking for. That's what the buzz is now around that team. So that tells you pretty much everything you need to know about where that franchise is right now. And then the buzz for the Falcons is, Michael Penix. Just saw a report came out the other day saying like everyone in that building believes that Michael Penix will be a great starting quarterback for them. They love what they see from him. So yeah, both starting quarterbacks for their respective teams are being very much looked over. It doesn't really matter. Give me the Falcons. Like, yeah, it's a coin flip game.
No one's calling the Falcons crazy anymore for drafting Penix at this point with that pick.
Yeah.
And it was week 5. It was week
5. Yeah, you called it. Yeah. So, I mean, hey, listen.
Crazy.
Week 1 against the Steelers, he looked terrible. Everyone's like, Kirk Cousins can't move. He's washed. Week 5.
Then he started turning it up like game by game.
Yeah, and that was just all he had in the tank, man.
Yeah, he hit the Great Wall of China or something.
Not a good year for 40-year-old quarterbacks coming off of Achilles tears.
Brick Wall Hall of Fame.
Although, we'll get to the Jets.
All right. Anyways, Lions, Bears, Detroit. I think Jared Goff's like the only player to throw for 5 touchdowns, 400 yards, and lose the football game. Talked about how I thought their defense could get one more stop than the Bills. Turned out to be wrong there. But good thing for them. They play the Chicago Bears, and the Chicago Bears are up there with bad football teams. Give me the Lions.
Yeah, not much to say here. I mean, going from playing the Bills and pretty much MVP front runner Josh Allen to playing this Bears team where every time they play, there's just memes about this team. Caleb Williams looking defeated, being a bust. Like, just nothing going good right now in Chicago. Ugly, ugly loss against the Vikings in prime time. Lions are playing with the practice squad of a practice squad right now on defense, but I mean, listen, they could put me and you out there. They're going to beat the Bears.
See the meme? They put Drewski as Ndamukong Drew.
Yeah, there was a bunch of Drewski memes going around this past week with, the Bears' offensive line. It's all the AI Drewskis. The Lions' defensive lines. Everyone's out there. But listen, Lions, man, tough losses for them. I mean, 2 weeks ago, they were Super Bowl locks, man. Like, this is the best team in football. Now I think the Eagles are the betting favorites to make it out of the NFC. Like, it's crazy how fast things can change, and injuries are just tough for this team, man. You mentioned losing David Montgomery, their entire defense. Like, guys are just falling down. It's not like they're missing a game or two. Like, these are talking about, like, big injuries. Like, dudes are going out for the season. So it's tough, man. And in this game of football, especially, they just keep adding and adding weeks. It's like when you're a team like the Lions and start off so hot and things are going so well in the beginning, it's like, but can this hold on for this long in this such physical sport? And there's so many variables and so many factors. And it's like you rather be playing your best football now instead of earlier on. But, I mean, we'll see. I think the Lions have done enough. They earn enough credit. I think they'll be pretty much the 1, maybe 2 seed, or it would be 3 seed because the Eagles would have the 2 seed if they don't get the 1 seed. But regardless, Lions should handle business against the Bears here, no matter who they got out there on defense.
Cardinals, Panthers, next game up. Honestly, think this is another coin flip game. The Cardinals played, solid football last week. They were playing the Patriots. That being said, the Panthers, on the other hand, they had a nice little run, and they played the Dallas Cowboys, and they come up short once again. Really didn't have it. I think for majority of the first half and a little bit of the third quarter. Then they got some things rolling, but still came up short against the Cowboys. I'm going to just go ahead and pick the Panthers, man. I think this could be a fit. I think it's a 60-40 leaning towards the Cardinals, but I think the Panthers, I got a gut feeling they come out with this one. So,
yeah, I think the Panthers proved to us last week that we're going to need to see a little bit more from them before they're ever favored in a game again. Like, I mean, it was like the first time they were favored in years, but didn't go the way they planned. Bryce Young looking like 2023 Bryce Young out there, but I mean, he still made a couple good plays. Teams didn't play well as a whole. You mentioned this Cardinals team against the Patriots. This Cardinals team is weird, man. Like, they just keep winning games, and Kyler Murray just keeps doing nothing. Like, he never throws touchdowns, and they just always seem to win these games based off running. James Conner will always have a huge game. Trey McBride will have 150 receiving yards, 15 receptions, no touchdown. Marvin Harrison will have like 3 red zone receptions or 3 touchdown targets where, either he just drops the ball or him and Kyler weren't on the same page. This past week, Christian Gonzalez threw 2 fades on him, and he broke both of those passes up. One, it looked like Marvin Harrison legit caught, and he just couldn't make it to the ground, and Gonzalez just hit it out. So a lot of missed opportunities here for this Cardinals offense, especially in the red zone. They also had to play where Trey McBride was stood up on the 1. Like, it's just weird. This passing game for the Cardinals has all the potential, just doesn't seem like it's been in sync at all this year. But against the Cardinals, you mentioned it's a coin flip game. You took the Panthers, give me the Cards. Like, it doesn't matter anyway.
Yeah, next game up, Rams, Jets. You're talking about 40-year-old quarterbacks and possibly comeback from the Jets quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. I'm not buying it. They were playing the Jacksonville Jaguars, Mac Jones. The Rams, on the other hand, a little bit slow last week against the Niners on Thursday Night Football. But once again, it is the Rams. Matthew Stafford, before last week, he was really red hot. Kyron Williams got it going last week on the ground. Big game from him. And the Jets, I'm just still not buying it. Garrett Wilson, the one-on-one, throw me the rock. There's turmoil, and I think other than Cleveland, the Jets are up there for actually the Bears at this point too. So Those are the top three most dysfunctional teams and horribly led teams. So give me the Rams.
I'm right there with you, man. I'll take the Rams as well. And I know I poked fun at Aaron Rodgers and the Jets, but the offense has been playing a little better the last couple weeks. You mentioned they win against the Jags. Devontae Adams puts up 200 yards, 2 touchdowns. The week before that, although they lost in Miami in overtime, Aaron Rodgers played a good game. They got going with Devontae Adams and Garrett Wilson also. And then I think the week before that, they played the Seahawks, and outside of the pick six Aaron Rodgers threw to the defensive lineman, they got a couple things going through the air. So Aaron Rodgers has been playing better football these last couple games, but I'm right there with you. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be a long-term answer there for the Jets organization. I just think, the way he's playing right now, maybe you bring him back one more season, but, it definitely brings into consideration to something you got to question, you got to look at here during the offseason, because outside of Shedeur Sanders and Cam Ward, every other single quarterback seemingly going back to school with all this NIL and stuff and just trying to develop and be better prospects. Not much here in draft-wise. So if you not looking through the draft, you're looking through free agency. Are you going to, sign Mac Jones and be your starting quarterback and hope he can give you a Sam Darnold-X turnaround? I don't think so. I think you let Aaron Rodgers pull out his last year and then you go into next season and hopefully you can find a quarterback then. I just don't think there'll be too many answers here this offseason for the Jets, which is unfortunate because, I've said it the past couple weeks. I'm going to say it again, man. The Jets got all of us to believe they were going to be contenders, and they just weren't. Rams, on the other hand, they're that team every single year we mention. You want to play your best team later on in the year, this time of year. They always do. Last week against the Niners, you mentioned they were slow. It was pretty much a downpour, a lot of rain, so I think weather had an impact on how that offense went. But, yeah, I just think the Rams are a better team here. Give me the Rams.
Yeah, Eagles-Commanders next game up in Washington. The Commanders won the first matchup, right? And that's what you said. They always play better on the road, vice versa.
Well, what was it? That's what I thought. But, yeah, the Eagles beat the Commanders at home this year. Usually the Commanders play better
on the road.
In Philly, but didn't happen this year.
All right, well, I'm sure you got an Eagles Bible verse ready for us, maybe the whole Old Testament. I'm going to go ahead and rock with the Eagles here in this one. I think just clear-cut better team at this point. I'm going to rock with Philly.
No Eagles rant this week. Nothing much more to say because, I feel like I've come on here and say it every week. Best team in football. Got questioned about the passing game last week. Can Jalen Hurts get on the same page?
Jalen Hurts have pretty privilege?
That's going around. It doesn't matter. Passing game got going, 2 touchdowns, 290 yards through the air. It was a better game for the offense for sure, and this defense continues to hold teams under 20 points. I don't think a team has scored 20 points on the defense since our bye week, and that was in week 5 or 4. I think week 5, I believe. So, yeah, man, health has been really big also for this Eagles team. They've been pretty healthy. Saquon got banged up a little bit, but he should be okay. He came back in the game. So as long as this team can stay healthy, these guys continue to stay on the same page, I think. Listen, as Vegas, they're the team to beat in the NFC. Now, you look on the flip side for this Commanders team, ugly win, so to speak, against this. They played the Saints last week. That game came down to pretty much the last play. Desmond Ridder almost, had his legacy game.
Spencer Rattler,
excuse me, yeah.
It was looking good, man. They went for the 2-point conversion and just
almost had his legacy game against this Commanders team. But that Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin connection is continuing to feed my fantasy team in the playoffs, so I'm here for that. But might have to make some changes this week going up against that Eagles defense. But regardless, give me Philly here. On the road, better team, like you said.
Browns-Bengals in the fake city in Ohio, Cincinnati. I am picking the Bengals, but, I wouldn't mind a little DTR type game. I think it was actually against the Commanders. Or maybe it was the Commanders in preseason when he flipped off the bench. But give me the Bengals, man. I want the Browns to lose out. Jameis Winston experiment is over in Cleveland. Jerry Jeudy, Elijah Moore. We got that to forward. We got that to look forward to next year. Huge question mark with my boy Nick Chubb, man. Once again, another horrible injury to the heart and soul of that Cleveland offense and Nick Chubb. Tough to see, man. Free agent this offseason. Hopefully they bring him back. No Browns fans want him there. But yeah, that Bengals offense is legit. Defense not so much. So hopefully DTR and getting a full week of practice. I mean, you just got to see something at this point. You got no point in having Jameis out there. Question marks about quarterback, obviously, for the Browns moving forward. You might as well let DTR play. Like, there's nothing you got to lose. There's no more time for him to develop. Like, it is go time for DTR. So I want to see that. With that being said, I'm taking the Bengals.
Yeah, I feel like you could make an argument that, this Bengals offense is the best unit in football. Like, just the way they've been playing week in and week out. They just put up numbers. Joe Burrow said he's playing at the best of his abilities right now, and it looks like it on the field. And, even has him going off on his own head coach, talking about, you got to take the win how it is, and he's not satisfied with scraping by the Tennessee Titans. And I don't blame him, man. This defense, I mean, they put up numbers. They had a good game, but, I mean, you still let the Tennessee Titans go down and put all those points up on you. You should have had 2 pick sixes. Your boy pulled a Jonathan Taylor, dropped the ball right before the end zone. I don't know why all these football players just are dropping the ball before the end zone. Unfortunate, but yeah, I mean, arguably the best unit in football with this Bengals defense. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, those guys just are uncoverable when they have Joe Burrow playing the way he is. Chase Brown has become a weapon for them out of the backfield now. He has a nose for the end zone, but it's like defensively, they're going to give up a bunch of points, and the only reason you feel good about this Bengals offense is because you legit think they can go out there and outscore any other offense, because they're going to have to with the way their defense is playing. But, yeah, I mean, they should be able to beat the Browns. I mean, and you talked about Cleveland, owning Joe Burrow. Maybe we see a vintage AFC North matchup here, but regardless.
It doesn't even count if he gets it. Like, it should not go down in the records book. But
yeah, I think we see, the Bengals win here pretty easily. But I will say I think you'll be pleased by DTR, because we just talked about how bad this Bengals defense is. So he'll probably show some flashes here in this game.
Yeah, we'll see about that. Speaking of the Titans, man, and Will Levis, he was 8 for 12, man, with those 3 interceptions as well. To go right with it. They play the Colts on the road. The Colts, outside of 2 plays, would have been a competitive football game, I think. It's a 14-point swing between that pick 6 on the try to throw back to AR and then a drop touchdown by Jonathan Taylor. That's a 14-point swing in a game where I think it was a 17-point win. So, yeah, I mean, it could have been a whole different game. Turns out not so. With that being said, Mason Rudolph, barring a shooting star, he will be the starter the rest of the season and not Will Levis. And maybe he takes better care of the ball than Will Levis does. We get less memes, but I think they're in the same boat as quarterbacks. Give me the Colts, man.
Yeah, you pretty much covered. I'm not going to sit here and drag on a Titans versus Colts matchup. I'll take the Colts as well.
I think he was nervous playing in front of his ex for Will Levis, or didn't have anything to do with it.
I think there was a lot more to go into that, but I think that might have had something to do with it. I think he's just a bad player right now. Like, Titans are another one of these teams. Like, what are they gonna do at quarterback? Like,
yeah, should they have kept Malik Willis? Did they trade the wrong quarterback?
Listen, I don't think Malik Willis would look any better in this system the way Will Levis is looking. I think Malik Willis looked good in those couple games earlier on. 1, because he was playing the Titans, and 2, he was in a better offensive system with Matt LaFleur, a confident offensive coach that can scheme up, knows how to get guys open, knows how to cater to a quarterback, played with Aaron Rodgers when he had a bunch of that success towards the end of his career, and now has Jordan Love playing as a top quarterback. I think you look more towards Matt LaFleur and what he had going on from Malik Willis rather than, could he have been the answer down in Tennessee? No, I think a lot needs to change in Tennessee before they find their answer at quarterback, unfortunately.
Nashville, good city for football. They just suck at it. Vikings Seahawks in Seattle. Results are looking good for Gino's knee injury. Yeah, with that being said, man, I'm gonna rock with it, bro. Go ahead and rock with it. The Vikings. JJ's dropped the pass. Not very competitive football game either way, but they were playing the Chicago Bears. I do think the Seahawks are a better team. Injury to Gino, huge question mark for me, but they've been my team all year. You were the Cardinals guy, I was the Seahawks guy. I think I just got to rock with them at this point. Like, it's just sort of written in the script that I can't do it. And pick the Vikings this week, so I'm going to go ahead, take the Seahawks at home, 12th man.
Listen, I don't blame you, but I'm taking the Vikings here, man. I mean, we saw what the Packers were able to do last week, going into, Seattle, 12th man, so to speak, and pretty much just took over that game. Jordan Love started off super hot, and, until Gino got banged up, but he got banged up because he was under siege all night, got hit a bunch of times in that game, and I don't think it's going to get any easier against this Vikings defense, and that's what they do best. They get after the quarterback. Brian Flores, he likes to blitz. He sends a lot of exotic looks, sends pressure, so I think they'll make it trouble for Gino as well. And then offensively, Sam Darnold continues to play well, man. I mean, he plays good enough, and Aaron Jones got it going there on the ground also. So I think this Vikings team is forming to be one of the better teams in football right now. Still only 2 losses. Crazy to think that NFC North Division, where, you have 2 12-win teams, and then you have a 10-win team in third place. That's insane, man. So, yeah, I think the Vikings right now, the way they're playing, also have been pretty healthy outside of their tackles going down. But overall, a lot of their stars, key players, they've been there. And defensively, I think they're able to give some teams trouble. I like this Vikings team, man. I think this Vikings team is a lot better than that Vikings team a couple years ago with Kirk Cousins, where all they were doing were winning, 1-point games, and then they get blown out by the Giants in the first round of the playoffs. I think this Vikings team has, a little more to them. They're not just winning 1-point games. They're going out and getting convincing wins. They're crushing bad teams like we just saw against the Bears, and they're also beating some pretty good teams. So I think Sam Darnold has his offense playing well, and this defense is also getting after it. So I think they should also handle business up there in Seattle, and the NFC North goes 2-0 in back-to-back weeks up there in Seattle.
Pat Bills in Buffalo. I mean, this could be a snowy one, could not be. Regardless what it is, give me the Bills. I mean, Josh Allen, MVP level, you mentioned it. He's the front runner, no doubt, favorite in all the books for a reason. He's making crazy plays. Keon Coleman, he's back from his injury. He's starting to look, how he was before he got hurt. And it just seems like Josh Allen's finding all the right guys at the right time. It doesn't matter who it is. He's just making plays with his legs, with his arms, scrambling, throwing on the run, whatever he needs to do, he's been doing it. With the Patriots, on the other hand, we just talked about them earlier, so give me the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, you pretty much said everything there is to be said there. I mean, listen, this game could be snowy, sunny. This game could be played on Mars. Give me the Bills.
Jags and Raiders.
Shout out Drake Mato.
Another great football game here. Yeah, man, I'm gonna go ahead and pick the Raiders once again, strictly because I want them to move up in the draft and not stay down in the draft. So I really don't think it matters. Coin flip type game. Give me Vegas.
Good luck with this game. I'll take the Jags just because Mac Jones.
He showed a little promise.
Yeah, Max Jones spin move to get the first down, pointing at the defense, mouthing off a little bit, getting rowdy. This is the Mac Jones rookie year Mac Jones, Pro Bowler Mac Jones. Let's not forget he has that on his resume.
Gritty Mac.
Yeah, man. With that being said, without Trevor Lawrence, the way this team has been playing, this Jags team isn't good, but BTJ, Brian Thomas Jr.
I was about to say they got Brian Thomas.
Yeah, he's been the lone spotlight, pretty much carrying Mac Jones ever since T-Law's been out. He's stepped up in a big way these past couple weeks. Mac Jones just only looks at him when he throws the ball, and I don't hate it, man. Give me the Jags here.
Yeah, neither do I. 49ers, Dolphins. Kyle Shanahan, big bro on Mike McDaniel, and who could run the worst Kyle Shanahan offense. So, yeah, I'm not saying much. Give me the Niners.
I'll take the Niners here as well, but I could see the Dolphins just finding a way to win this game and continuing to be just one of the most confusing teams so far this season. But you mentioned, I think that's funny. It's like, who's gonna run the worst Shanahan system offense here, McDaniels or the son Kyle Shanahan? So it'll be interesting. But like you said, Brock Purdy, is he the guy? I know that's been a big topic. He's looking to get paid this offseason. I think he's
Tell
looking
you
for,
who isn't. Debo Samuel's not the guy, but
no, not at all. He's looking for top of the market money, but injuries just have been the story this year over there in San Francisco. And then on the Dolphins side of football, can Tua figure it out? Can that offense finally get going? I don't know. Jalen Waddle, banged up, probably done for the season. Regardless, I mean, give me the 49ers. This is like the ultimate battle of mid this season. Like, we got some other games here. Like, you look at the Titans, Colts, the Jag Raiders. You just know those games are bad. But this 49ers Dolphins game is like, they're not horrible. They're just not good. It's just battle of mid.
the thing is, I will say one thing. Tua looked good on his not first reads throughout that football game, and which is the funny part. That's usually what he struggled with. That's we got the touchdown on Jonnu Smith, and I don't understand it at all. But Bucks, Cowboys in Dallas. Cowboys coming off a win. Dare I say Cooper Rush better than Dak Prescott. Stats wise, it looks like it. Yeah, give me 40 ball bake in the Bucks. I mean, this team, NFC South, competing for that division, trying to win that division down there, so they can certainly get it trending against this Cowboys team. So give me the Bucks.
Yeah, this Bucks offense got it going last week. Mike Evans finding the end zone again. He's making another late season push to crack that 1K yard mark for what? I think the 11th time in his career, 11th straight time. And then you also look at that run game. Bucky Irving, he was banged up a little bit last week, but continuing to get more healthy. He looked good on the ground with Rashad White, another weapon out the backfield. Baker Mayfield has this offense humming against the Dallas Cowboys team, who can look very competent against the Carolina Panthers. But the week before that, we saw them blow a game to the Bengals, who have an offense that can score points. I think this Bucs team is another offense that can put up points, and I think Dallas is pretty much ready for the offseason. I know they're not technically eliminated, but Trayvon Diggs, knee surgery, out for the season. Micah Parsons coming out saying, he understands if he gets traded, it's the business thing. So sounds like he's 1 foot in, 1 foot out already. Jerry Jones continues to just make outlandish comments. Like, why is he talking about eating raccoons and squirrels? Like, I mean, when you have a Cowboys team that's scratching and clawing their way throughout the season, and then you look at the head coach, Mike McCarthy, he's on the last year of his deal. Everyone pretty much assumes he's on his way out. So are they looking for a new head coach? Just a lot of question marks here in Dallas, to where they're probably just ready to get to the offseason and reset, have Dak Prescott come back and see what they can do next year, because it looks like it's pretty much over this season for him. So, yeah, I'll take the Bucs, and your boy Baker, let him bake.
Indeed, yeah.
Cleveland's last hope.
Yeah, when it's a playoff game, man, never forget my birthday. Is when they beat down on the Pittsburgh Steelers, in case anybody forgot about that game.
That footwork, man. That footwork.
Yeah, this is, Mike Pouncey snapping it over Big Ben's head into the end zone. Touchdown. I mean, whether you wanted to see I think it was, I don't even know. It was like, oh, man, who was that save? Sheldrick Redwine, I think he got a pick.
Redwine, wow.
Juice had a touchdown that game, man. Shelby got in the end zone on the screen. Yeah, it was a good game. Packers.
What happened in that divisional game after that wild card game. They played the Chiefs, right?
Yeah.
Were they supposed to win that game?
Yeah. All right. You know exactly
No,
what it is. Now you're
what happened? I forgot. You gotta give me a refresher.
Go ahead, bro. Head to head to Hollywood Higgins in the end zone, man. I know Cleveland will never forget that. Head to head at the 1. Hollywood fumbles it back in the end zone. No flag thrown, of course, because it's the Chiefs. And that was 7 right before the half. Would have been a momentum swing. And then down the stretch, Joe Woods, being classic Joe Woods D coordinator, let Chad Henne kick up a first down. Not Patrick Mahomes. It was Chad Henne in the football game. They went to a 2.5-yard out route to Tyreek Hill, and the Browns defense was playing 5 yards off the ball. For what reason? Don't know. It was like 4th and 2. But yeah, Joe Woods being Joe Woods in the helmet to helmet. But
gotta call that helmet to helmet, man. Gotta call it.
Yeah, it should have been a reviewable play, but it would have hurt the Chiefs. And was that the year? No, that was the year the Bengals went to the Super Bowl 2020, right? Against the Rams.
I'm about to say, hey man, listen, I've been on that side as well. I know what it's like to lose to the Chiefs in a big time game. So ours was on a flag that shouldn't have been called. Yours was on a flag that wasn't called. So we're in the same boat here.
Yeah, and I mean, I could pick apart Joe Woods. I forgot most of that offensive game, but I know Hollywood Higgins and that Baker connection was real.
Yeah, I can pick apart Jonathan Gannon as well. So listen, man, not too far off there, man.
2 poverty franchises. At least you've seen the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I wouldn't say poverty for the Eagles,
all right,
but
anyways,
I understand.
Saints Packers, man. I'm just after that last discussion. This last thing I want to talk about is the Saints. Spencer Rattler, yeah, he looked like he was capable when he came in the football game. Almost led them to a comeback win. Packers, on the other hand, they look good, man. They look like the pack. Jordan Love cooking things up. Give me Green Bay at home. Prime time.
I'll also take Green Bay here at home. You mentioned this Packers offense. Jordan Love cooking up. Josh Jacobs continues to be just a dominant force on the ground. And their defense has been flying around making plays as well as of late. And then the Saints, I mean, no Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara, he got banged up, exited the game. Not sure if he'll be back playing this next week. Chris Olave, apparently he's been cleared, but do you even bring him back at this point of the season? No, would be my answer. So it's just giving the Packers, they're the better team here.
It's going to wrap up our Week 16 pick'ems. You got any last comments, takes, anything like that?
No, nothing. Although the college football playoffs, we talked about it a little last week there. This week, so, I mean, we'll have some information next episode about what goes on there. But, I mean, listen, a lot of football, a lot of fun football. Thursday through Monday, we'll have games.
Oh, it is this week, yeah.
Yep.
Forgot 12 team, man. I was so ready for it to just be like New Year's. I'm like, no one's playing. Yeah.
Hold up. Thursday
through
Friday. Next Monday, we'll have football every day except one game, no?
What day?
Tuesday.
Oh, yeah, because then Wednesday we got Christmas. Thursday night game.
I think, is a Thursday night game. And then Friday, maybe not Friday, but they might do another college football game on Friday because I know there's one this Friday.
December 31st.
Well, regardless, even if they don't, it'll be like for the next 2 weeks, it'll be like 2 days at most when there's no football.
December 31st is
Well, they'll probably actually no. There'll be football. It'll be like a bowl game or something on.
Like yeah.
Pop-Tart Bowl or something. I don't know. If you want to watch football?
The Pinstripe Bowl.
Next Friday.
You got everything.
Yeah. So except for Tuesday, these next 2 weeks, there'll be football.
Yeah. Miami. Wait, is Miami, Colorado playing, right?
Or I think it's No, Miami and Iowa State.
Yeah.
And I might be going to that game next Saturday. Shout out Uncle Terrence, man. Iowa State alum.
Yeah, you can watch Cam Ward, maybe Future Brown. We don't know yet, but we'll see about that. Yeah, Thursday, man. What's the? I think we went through this already. Why don't we do a quick, off the dome pick'em, man?
For college football?
Yeah, just for this week.
Yeah. The Friday game, I think, is Penn State And who they play? SMU, right? Yeah.
Friday, Indiana, Notre Dame.
Oh, Indiana, Notre Dame. Okay.
Me personally, I'm not buying in Notre Dame at all and how they finished number 7. It's still mind-boggling to me. I know it's an early season loss, but probably the worst loss out of any playoff team out here on the board. So I just can't uncheck that. Indiana, on the other hand, they are choke artists and somehow found a way to bid themselves in the playoff. I'm going to go ahead take Indiana on the road.
Yeah, I mean, matchup wise, I feel like if you ask either one of these teams, like who would you want to play in the first round, they'd probably give each other just based off, the strengths and what each team does well. But you mentioned this Notre Dame team. I mean, their best win was Texas A&M in week 1. You got the loss to Ball State, and then after that, they haven't really played anyone. Like they beat Army and they beat Navy, like the naval, like the service academies. But outside of that, they haven't really played anyone. And then
Army just got beat up too by Navy in that Navy game.
Yeah, and then you look at Indiana, like you mentioned. I mean, was competitive against Ohio State, and then one big game for one quarter. After that, Ohio State just ran away.
Check the resume. Not one big games.
But with that being said, you know what? I'm going to go with you, man. I'm going to take the underdog here in Indiana. Their quarterback is, not a world beater, but he has some good connection with those receivers, big receivers on the outside. I think they get it done. Notre Dame has been banged up in the secondary there. Top corner, he was out for the year I think he had a hip injury or something. He's projected to go, or was projected to go in the top first round, so he won't be playing. So, yeah, I think Indiana can get that run game, get that offense going, coach. And then, more of college football, man, is more of, rah-rah, get the guys motivated. You can play above your level or whatever. So, you know what? Yeah, give me Indiana there as well in that matchup with the big upset against number 7 Notre Dame with the loss to Ball State on their resume.
Next game up, SMU at Penn State. And I'm really tempted to take SMU at this point, but Southern Methodist University, much smaller school. Are they ready to play, this Big Ten football in front of this Penn State crowd? It's a 12 o'clock afternoon game. It's going to be a whiteout. Penn State's going to be rocking how they rock. So I got to take that into account here. This home field advantage, I think, might be too big of a stage for SMU to overcome, even though I think James Franklin sucks as a head coach and Penn State should move off of him like some other coaches I'll talk about later in the playoffs. I just think the stage is too bright for SMU right now.
Yeah, I'm going to take Penn State here as well, and I'm with you, man. It's like Penn State always loses the big game. You look back on, years past, they could never beat Ohio State. They never beat Michigan. The last couple of years, just like they're always like, oh, we were the first team out of the playoffs. Like, just give us an extended playoff. Well, I mean, this year they lost to Oregon in the Big Ten championship. But I have to say, after that game, I think this Penn State team looked a lot better. They were competitive with that Oregon team down to the very end. It wasn't like these other Penn State losses in big moments where you just felt like they were outcoached, outclassed, outnumbered. In this game, they gave Oregon a run for their money, and I think you have to take that into consideration. Drew Aller at quarterback, he balled out. He looks good. Not really much to say there on the outside perimeter-wise, but I think against this SMU team, you'll be able to run the ball. Drew Aller make a couple big throws here and there, and then you look at Abdul Carter off of the edge. He's getting buzzed, arguably the first defensive player taken off of the board. Some people have him, going number 1 overall. If there's a team that doesn't need a quarterback that ends up with that first pick, like a Jacksonville or something like that. But regardless, I think Abdul Carter off that edge, that entire Penn State defense will be some trouble for this SMU team. And the one thing I will say it'll be kind of interesting is the backup quarterback, Perbula, who came in spurts for this Penn State team, pretty much helped him come back and win in that Wisconsin game and gets packages here and there. Unfortunate, but, he had to put his name in the transfer portal before they even played this game. So it's like a key part of their offense, especially in packages. And when Drew Aller got banged up, his name's already in the transfer portal, and James Franklin came on his press conference. It was like he had every intentions of playing, in the playoff. He wanted to be with this team, but it's unfortunate with what's going on. It's like college football needs a governing body, and I get it. Like, that's definitely messed up. Somebody that's an important part of your team, that's helped your team, be a big part of where they are. And he has to, just because for his own betterment, for him to better his own future, he has to go out there and kind of hurt the team. So that's messed up. It shouldn't be that way. But regardless, I think Penn State has enough talent to beat this SMU team who, listen, man, shout out SMU. Made it, basically came down to the very final play of the ACC championship. They were in it, man. So you got to give them credit.
Speaking of which, Clemson, Texas, that next game up in the championship game, they came down to the wire. Clemson was able to pull it off, and really their only signature win all year. Texas, on the other hand, they really don't have too many signature wins either. I think the early game against Michigan early on in the year was supposed to be a signature game, but Michigan did not turn out to be too good at all this year, and they've really struggled. They had chances, against Georgia in the championship game, and they fell short. Ewers throws a pick, and they're able to get it right back. They're able to come back overtime. Can't punch it in the end zone. Was it Georgia's defense? If you're Quinn Ewers, you got to find a way to get into the end zone. And this Texas team, they have the talent. I don't think Clemson's that good of a football team, to be honest. I think Texas could win this game at home. I'm usually a horns down type of guy, but for this one, I see them pulling it off here against Clemson.
Well, listen, let me just start off by saying this. I will be betting the college football playoffs this weekend. And the last 2 times I've bet Texas in their big moments, and the only 2 times I bet Texas this season were their 2 losses to Georgia. With that being said, I'm betting Texas again this weekend, and I'm picking them to beat Clemson. This Clemson team, you look at what they've done the past 2 games they played. They lose at home to South Carolina, and then you have to go down to the very last play and kick a, 56-yard field goal to beat SMU in the ACC championship game. This team just isn't as good as the Clemson in years past. You look at week 1, they come out and play Georgia, get ran out of the stadium in all their big games. Clemson just hasn't been able to step up to the moment. They've been able to beat bad teams, but they just haven't been able to play with the better teams this past year. And Texas, we mentioned the tough losses to Georgia, but this defense has been really, really good all season, good at creating turnovers. They just play really sound defense. And then, is it Quinn Ewers? He's been banged up this past season. He'll be in there. He'll be starting, but you got Arch Manning, waiting for his moment. So if something does happen, I think you still have a quarterback that you believe in that can go out and make plays and win you a game, especially against this Clemson team. So, yeah, listen, there's been rumors, mumbles about Quinn Ewers. Does he return back to college football, grad transfer, and continue playing, try to boost his draft stock? Then we'll see with that, whether he does come back or not in his NFL draft. Regardless, I think this Texans team, just talent-wise, they should be better than Clemson. So, yeah, maybe it's a bad thing that I'm picking Texas and I'm gambling on them just because every time I bet them, they've lost this year. But sorry, Texans fans, I'm putting money on them this week.
Tennessee at the Ohio State University. Usually I'd rock with Ohio State being in Ohio. Buckeyes football, man. A lot of Browns players, a.k.a. Denzel Ward. But that being said, man, Ryan Day, he's going to be learning Chinese along with Will Howard this offseason. And this, Ohio State found a way to get a worse quarterback. Ryan Day continues to suck as head coach. Not too familiar with the Vols at this point, but I'm going to go ahead and rock with them here against Ohio State. And just for the fact that Ryan Day and Will Howard should be not in any Division I program next season.
Well, listen, if you're a Tennessee fan or, a Tennessee player, I think this matchup is pretty much exactly what you will want. Your strengths going against the weakness of Ohio State. And you look at this Tennessee team and what they do best is they play defense and they get after the quarterback. James Pace Jr. hasn't had the production he had, past couple years, but projected first-round pick, very explosive off the edge. read or heard somewhere that they rotate like 20 dudes or something like that on their defensive line. So they're super, super deep down there in Tennessee. They got a bunch of fresh legs. And then, unfortunately, on the Ohio State side of the ball, their offensive line has been super, super banged up. They lost their starting center to, I believe, a torn Achilles a couple of weeks ago. Their starting left tackle went out early in the season against Oregon with a knee injury. So they've been, like rotating doors up there on the offensive line. They've been really banged up. And then you mentioned some questionable play calls by Chip Kelly and Ryan Day down the stretch there, especially offensively against Michigan. But I'm picking Ohio State, man. I think at home, at this point, you have to feel like Ryan Day and those guys are coaching for their job. I think we do see a lot more of those perimeter guys getting involved, because you look at this offensive team for Ohio State, who are their best players? It's their playmakers on the outside. Jeremiah Smith, phenomenal number one receiver. He'd probably be going early in the first round if he was able to get drafted this year. And he's, a freshman from, South Florida.
Shout
out to Crib. And then you look at Emeka Ibuka, another possible number one first round pick, early second, late first, somewhere in that range. And then Carnell Tate, another really good college receiver. They got three guys that are able to make plays on the outside. So I think Chip Kelly, Ryan Day in this offense with the banged up O-line, maybe we see a bunch of quick passes. We just see ways to get their big playmakers going on the outside. And when you're going against a pass rush and a defense like Tennessee, you want to get the ball out quick. You want to be able to run the ball in spurts, not just run the ball because you want to prove a point like they tried to do against Michigan, where the only good part of Michigan was this defensive line. You don't want to sit there and run at them like Tennessee, because if you do, it'll be a very similar game against Michigan. I think Ohio State, they come out, they game plan, they learn from their mistakes. They had some time to kind of go over, figure out what they were doing wrong. I think we come out and they see them believe in Will Howard just a little bit more, and we see them attack down the field instead of just trying to run the ball into the strength of a defense like they did with Michigan. So give me Ohio State, just because, like I said, I feel like Ryan Day is coaching for his job here against Tennessee.
Yeah, it definitely is. No feel about it. I think it should be set in stone. But it's going to wrap up our college football playoff first round pick'ems, the quarterfinals here. Or is this? No, this is not the quarterfinals.
Oh, it's the first round.
First round, yeah. I don't even know. Round of 16, like round of 12.
Round of 12, yeah. And it might be 16 in the next couple years. You never know. Hey.
Yeah, it probably will. Soon it's just going to be, they're going to start for week 1, or week 0 is going to be the start of the playoff bracket.
2 mega conferences like the NFL, bro. Just have Big Ten versus SEC.
30 teams each, like top 60 teams.
Big Ten versus SEC. All the conferences merge into those 2 big conferences. There you go.
Anyways, man, go episode 117. Anything else you like to say?
That's it. I mean, we could touch on NBA right now. The in-season tournaments being played as we speak. The OKC Thunder versus the
How
Milwaukee
is that not
Bucks.
over yet, bro?
It's the championship game is tonight. Is right now.
They're running it, but go ahead.
I mean, yeah. Regardless, I think NBA, you can talk early, but there's just so much that goes on, so much flow, so much changes throughout the NBA season, to where what's going on right now will be completely different from what we start talking about once they get towards the playoffs. So, I mean, the in-season tournament's cool, it's fun, but I mean, I don't really think anyone takes it that seriously.
Yeah. Show Jimmy's a Heat at the end of the trade deadline. That's about it for me.
Yeah, big triple-double for him the other night, right?
Yeah, and we lost.
To the Pistons.
Yeah, they were making it rain.
Have you guys beaten the Pistons at all this season? I feel like every time I see the Pistons win, it's like a big, crazy, like overtime game against the Heat.
I truly do not know at all. Yeah. Go episode 117. Go pod on TikTok. Go on everything streaming wise. And until next week, we'll be back with another episode, man. Peace.